The photos appeared on Instagram while I was 30,000 feet over the Atlantic. My sister Jessica's account, posted 4 hours ago, a champagne bottle popping in a sunlit living room I recognized immediately. My living room. The caption read, "New home. Thanks mom and dad for the amazing surprise. #blessed, #new beginnings, #dream home." I scrolled through the carousel. My kitchen. My bedroom. My balcony with the skyline view. Jessica posing with her fiancé Brad in front of my bookshelves, my art on the walls, my furniture arranged exactly as I'd left it. 43 comments, all congratulatory. Aunt Marie, so beautiful. You deserve this. My cousin, about time someone put that space to good use. I called my mother. It went straight to voicemail. I called my father. Same thing. I called Jessica. She answered on the first ring, laughing. Music and voices in the background. Emma, aren't you in London? What are you doing in my apartment? Our apartment now. Well, mine and Brad's. Mom and Dad worked it out with your landlord. You've been renting that place for like 6 years, paying all that money for nothing. We're actually going to make it a home. My hand tightened on the phone. Jessica, I didn't give anyone permission. Oh, don't be dramatic. You're never there anyway, always traveling for that boring consulting job. We need the space. Brad and I are getting married in 4 months and we can't keep living in his studio. Mom said you'd understand once you thought about it. Besides, it's not like you own it or anything. Jessica. Gotta go. We're having a little housewarming thing. Wish you were here. She hung up. I sat in my business class seat, paid for by my boring consulting job that actually meant senior partner at Clark & Associates, making $380,000 a year, and pulled up my phone's security app. I'd installed cameras in my apartment 2 years ago after a break-in in the building. Hidden, high quality, motion activated. I'd never told my family because they'd never asked about my security setup. They'd never asked about much regarding my life. I scrolled back to 3 days ago, when I'd left for London. There, my mother, using a key I'd never given her, letting herself in. She walked through my apartment touching things, nodding. Then my father appeared with a locksmith. Change all the locks, Dad said on camera. I don't want Emma walking in and making a scene. The locksmith hesitated. Sir, if she's the tenant, this could be illegal, she'll get over it. Family helps family. Her sister needs this place more than she does. I watched them change my locks. Watched Jessica and Brad arrive with suitcases. Watched my mother direct movers bringing in new furniture, boxing up my things. Put her stuff in storage, Mom said. The cheap place on Route 9. She doesn't have anything valuable anyway. I made 3 calls before the plane landed. The first was to my attorney, Marcus Webb, who'd handled my real estate purchases. Marcus, my family just broke into my property and changed the locks. Which property? Harbor Towers, Unit 4201. He was quiet for a moment. Emma, they broke into your penthouse? The one you own? Apparently they think I rent it. They're having a housewarming party right now. Jesus. Okay, I'm calling building security and the police. Don't confront them directly. Let me handle this legally. The second call was to building management. Mr. Peterson, this is Emma Crawford, owner of Unit 4201. I need to inform you that unauthorized persons have broken into my unit and changed the locks. Ms. Crawford, I'm aware. A woman claiming to be your mother presented documents 3 days ago stating she had your power of attorney to facilitate a transfer to your sister. I told her that wasn't how ownership works, but she was very insistent. Did you let her in? Absolutely not. But I couldn't stop her if she had a key. Do you want me to call the police? Already done. But I need one more thing from you. The third call was to my parents. Still no answer. I left a message. Mom, Dad, I'll be landing in 6 hours. Don't touch anything else in my apartment. We need to talk. I'd bought the penthouse 4 years ago with my first major bonus, $847,000 for 2,400 square feet with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the harbor. My family knew I lived in Harbor Towers. They didn't know I owned it. Why would they? When I mentioned buying property at 28, Dad had laughed. On a consultant's salary? Sure, Emma. Let us know when you're ready to talk about real investments. I stopped mentioning my career. Stopped talking about money. Let them think whatever they wanted. It was easier than fighting their assumptions. My mother thought I rented a cheap apartment because I drove a modest Honda and wore understated clothes. Jessica thought I was wasting my life, being single at 32, focused on work instead of finding a husband like she had. They'd never visited my apartment. Not once in 6 years. It's too far from the suburbs, Mom said when I invited them to dinner once. Can't you just come to us? So they'd never seen the custom kitchen, the marble bathrooms, the balcony where I had coffee every morning watching the sun rise over the water. Now they'd broken in and given it away. The flight landed at 6:47 p.m. I went straight to Harbor Towers. The lobby was familiar and comforting, marble floors, crystal chandeliers, Dennis the evening doorman who always remembered my name. Miss Crawford. Welcome back. I need to inform you there's been some activity in your unit. I'm aware. Is Mr. Peterson available? In his office. He's been expecting you. Robert Peterson, building manager for 12 years, stood when I entered. Miss Crawford, I'm so sorry about the situation. Your mother was very convincing, but I should have verified more thoroughly before. You didn't let her in. You did your job. What's happening up there now? There are approximately 30 people in your unit. They've been there for 3 hours. Music, caterers, the works. Some residents have complained about the noise. Good. Let them complain. I need you to do something for me. I told him my plan. He smiled. It would be my pleasure. I took the elevator to the 42nd floor. The hallway was quiet, expensive carpet muffling sound. But from my door with new locks I didn't have keys to, I could hear music, laughter, the clink of glasses. I knocked. Jessica opened the door, champagne glass in hand, face flushed and happy. Her smile faltered when she saw me. Emma? What are you doing here? I live here. Not anymore. Mom explained everything. This is my place now. She started to close the door. I put my foot in the gap. Jessica, you need to listen to me, Brad. Brad. She called over her shoulder. Emma's here making a scene. Brad appeared, tall and confused. Behind him, I could see my apartment full of people. Mom and Dad holding court by the windows. Aunt Marie on my couch. Cousins I barely knew eating catered food off my dining table. Emma, hey, Brad said awkwardly. This is kind of a private party. Maybe you could come back tomorrow and we can. This is my apartment. No, it's Jessica's apartment. Her parents gave it to her. Her parents broke in and changed the locks. I own this unit. Jessica laughed, sharp and nervous. You don't own anything. You rent. Mom checked with the landlord. Who did she speak to? The building manager. He said, actually, I don't know what he said. Mom handled it. Mom appeared behind them. Emma, you're making a scene. We can discuss this later, but right now you're embarrassing yourself in front of our guests. Our guests? In my home? Your rental. And honestly, it's for the best. You're never here, you don't appreciate it, and Jessica actually needs the space. We're doing you a favor. You can find a nice studio somewhere cheaper. I pulled out my phone. I'm going to show you something. We're not doing this now. I held up the screen, my deed. Unit 4201, Harbor Towers. Owner, Emma Louise Crawford. Purchase date, June 15th, 4 years ago. Purchase price, $847,000. Mom's face went pale. That's fake. It's public record. I bought this penthouse when I made partner at Clark & Associates. I own it. You broke in. Dad pushed through the crowd. That's impossible. You're a consultant. You make maybe $70,000 a year. There's no way you could afford. I'm a senior partner. I made $380,000 last year. Plus bonuses. This penthouse is mine, and you've committed breaking and entering. The party had gone quiet. 30 people staring. Jessica's champagne glass trembled. Mom, you said you talked to the landlord. You said he approved the transfer. I may have misunderstood. The doorbell rang. Everyone looked at the door. I smiled. That'll be building management. Jessica opened it. Robert Peterson stood there in his suit, tablet in hand. Behind him, 2 security guards. Good evening. I'm Robert Peterson, building manager. I need to speak with whoever is hosting this event. That's me, Jessica said. I'm the new tenant. I'm afraid that's incorrect. This unit is owner-occupied by Ms. Emma Crawford, who purchased it in June 4 years ago for $847,000. I have the ownership documents right here. He held up the tablet. Mom grabbed it, scanning desperately. Her face crumbled. This says, Emma Crawford, sole owner. Peterson continued, voice professional and clear. 3 days ago, a woman claiming to be Ms. Crawford's mother presented falsified documents stating she had power of attorney to transfer the unit. I informed her that ownership cannot be transferred without proper legal documentation and the owner's consent. She proceeded anyway. He looked around at the guests. This penthouse belongs to your sibling. They own the building. Actually, I didn't own the building. But I did own 3 units in it, my penthouse, plus 2 smaller units I rented out as investments. Close enough. Mom dropped her wine glass. It shattered on my hardwood floors, red wine spreading across the wood I'd had refinished last year for $8,400. The building? Dad's voice was weak. Ms. Crawford owns multiple units in Harbor Towers, Peterson clarified. She is one of our most valued owners. And you've broken into her primary residence, changed her locks without authorization, and are currently trespassing. I've called the police. Police? Jessica's face went white. No, this is a misunderstanding. Mom said, your mother committed fraud, Peterson said flatly. She presented false documents, authorized unauthorized entry, and facilitated the removal and storage of Ms. Crawford's personal property. That's multiple felonies. Aunt Marie stood up from my couch. Emma, surely you're not going to press charges against your own mother? I looked at her. She broke into my home, threw away my things, and gave my property to Jessica. What would you do? But family. Family doesn't commit crimes against each other. Brad pulled Jessica aside, whispering urgently. I caught fragments, said it was a rental, your mom lied, we could go to jail. Dad tried to salvage it. Emma, sweetheart, there's clearly been a miscommunication. We thought we were helping. You never told us you owned this place. You never asked. You assumed I was poor, struggling, wasting my life. Because I don't brag. Because I don't perform wealth for you. That's not fair. You changed my locks, Dad. You hired a locksmith to lock me out of my own home. I have it on camera. His face went red. You were spying on us? I have security cameras in my home. You broke in and I have footage of everything. Mom sank onto my couch, makeup running. We were trying to help Jessica. She needs a place. We thought you wouldn't mind because you're always traveling, you don't have a family, you don't need all this space, so you stole it. We didn't steal. We just relocated you. Without asking. Without permission. After breaking in. 2 police officers appeared at the door. Peterson must have called them before coming up. We received a call about a breaking and entering? I stepped forward. Yes, officers. I'm Emma Crawford, the owner of this unit. These people broke in 3 days ago while I was abroad, changed my locks, moved in my sister, and are currently having a party in my home without my permission. The older officer looked around. Ma'am, can you prove ownership? I handed him my deed, my driver's license, my building ownership documents. He studied them, then looked at my parents. Who authorized entry to this residence? Mom stood up, shaking. I'm her mother. I thought I was helping. I didn't know she owned it. She never told us. Ignorance isn't a defense for breaking and entering, ma'am. Jessica started crying. Real tears, mascara streaming. I didn't know. Mom said it was fine. I would never, Emma, please, I didn't know it was yours. Brad put his arm around her. Officers, my fiancée was told this apartment was a gift from her parents. She had no idea it was stolen property. It's not stolen property, the younger officer corrected. It's the owner's residence that was unlawfully entered. But if she had no knowledge of the crime, she may not be culpable. I looked at Jessica. Really looked at her. She was 28, engaged, genuinely crying. And maybe she really hadn't known. Jessica, did you know they broke in? No. I swear. Mom called me 2 days ago and said she'd worked it out with your landlord, that you were traveling so much you'd agreed to let me have the place. She said you were happy to help me. And you believed that? Why wouldn't I? You're my sister. I thought you were being generous. Did you think it was strange I didn't call you myself? She faltered. Mom said you were busy with work. That you'd call when you got back. I turned to the officer. I want my parents charged with breaking and entering, illegal locksmith services, and theft of property. My sister and her fiancé can leave without charges if they vacate immediately. Emma, no. Mom lurched forward. We're your parents. You can't send us to jail. You broke into my home. We made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting my birthday. This is a crime. Multiple crimes. Dad's face was red, furious. After everything we've done for you. Raised you, fed you, paid for your education, I paid you back for college. Every cent. With interest. 5 years ago. You cashed the checks. This is how you repay us? By destroying your family. The room was silent. 30 people watching my family implode. I looked at each of them, the cousins who'd never visited, the aunt who'd never asked about my life, the parents who'd never seen my success because they never looked. I didn't destroy this family. You did. When you broke into my home. The police escorted my parents out in handcuffs 30 minutes later. Mom cried the whole way. Emma, please. Don't do this. We're sorry. We'll fix everything. Please. Dad said nothing, jaw clenched, refusing to look at me. Jessica and Brad packed their suitcases in silence. The 30 guests had fled within minutes of the police arriving, slipping out quietly like they'd never been there. Before Jessica left, she stopped at the door. I really didn't know, Emma. I'm sorry. I believe you. But you're still pressing charges against Mom and Dad? Yes. They're our parents. They're criminals who broke into my home. Being related doesn't excuse that. She left without another word. Aunt Marie was the last to leave. She paused in the doorway. You know everyone's going to say you overreacted. Let them. They'll say family should forgive family. Family should respect family. They didn't. She studied me for a long moment. Your grandmother would be proud of you. That surprised me. Grandma Jean? She always said you were the strong one. The one who didn't need validation. She was right. Aunt Marie touched my shoulder. I'm sorry we never saw it. After everyone left, Robert Peterson and I changed the locks again. He arranged for cleaners to come in the morning. Miss Crawford, I apologize again for not catching this sooner. You told my mother it was illegal. She did it anyway. That's not your fault. Still, you're an excellent owner and resident. We should have protected you better. He left. I stood in my apartment, my home, surrounded by strangers' belongings, wine stains on my floor, and the wreckage of a family that had never really seen me. I sat on the balcony and watched the city lights. The legal proceedings took 4 months. My parents were charged with breaking and entering, illegal entry, theft, and fraud. They pleaded guilty to avoid trial. Mom got 18 months probation and 400 hours of community service. Dad got the same, plus anger management classes after he screamed at the prosecutor in court. They never apologized to me. Not once. They told everyone who'd listened that I was vindictive, cruel, heartless. That I'd sent my own parents to court over a misunderstanding. That I'd always been selfish and this proved it. Half the family believed them. Aunt Marie didn't. Neither did Grandma Jean, who called me at 83 years old to say, about damn time you stood up to those two. Jessica sent one email 6 weeks after the arrest. Emma, I know you think you did the right thing, but you destroyed our family. Mom cries every day. Dad won't speak to anyone. I postponed my wedding because I can't have a celebration while my parents are facing criminal charges. I hope you're happy with your expensive apartment. You chose it over us. I never responded. Brad called off the engagement 3 months later. Apparently, watching your fiancé's parents get arrested for breaking into someone's penthouse and lying about it wasn't the foundation he wanted for a marriage. Jessica blamed me for that too. Today is August 15th, 18 months after the break-in. My parents finished their probation last month. They've never contacted me. I heard through Aunt Marie that they sold their house, couldn't afford the mortgage on Dad's reduced income after he lost his consulting contracts over the criminal record. They're renting a townhouse now. Working regular jobs for the first time in decades. Learning to live within their means. Jessica moved to Portland with a new boyfriend. We're not in contact. I'm still in my penthouse. I had the floors refinished again, got rid of everything that reminded me of that night, and finally made it completely mine. Last week, I bought another property, a small house in the suburbs, perfect for a rental. My real estate portfolio is growing. My attorney, Marcus, called to congratulate me. You handled that with more grace than most people would have. I just enforced boundaries. You enforced the law. There's a difference. Most people would have let their family guilt them into backing down. They taught me an important lesson that night. What's that? That the people who truly love you don't break into your home and steal from you. Everyone else is just relatives. I hung up and stood on my balcony, watching the harbor, living in the home I bought with money I earned, surrounded by success my family never acknowledged. And for the first time in years, I felt completely at peace. Have you ever had family members who assumed you were struggling simply because you didn't flaunt your success? How did you handle it when they finally found out the truth? Share your story below.